Talk Show.
Recorded live.
Good day, everyone from around the world. It's so lovely to have all of us here together in this moment, in this circle, this healing circle, this circle with warmth and compassion and love that's being created virtually, globally, through this marvelous use of technology. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today is Tuesday, February 19th on the Gregorian calendar. In Mayan time, we're on the 12 Achpu, or 12 Sun Day, S-U-N Day. And this is day 3 of our 5-day series for Wayeb healing. And I'm Barbara Sadler, author of the MayanCross.com website. And with me this morning, collaborating and supporting, is Common Passion's founder and director, Joseph Giove. And we have folks from all over the world in this moment on the call. And we'll also have many more joining us throughout the day as the circle grows wider and warmer. And I'm getting reports from people that are tuning in later in the day, and they're assuring us that the intentions and our open hearts are being fully received by that group later on during the 24-hour period. So those of us that begin here in the live call, we may be tapping into that energy that's being created all day long. Now, in Guatemala, they are on the same time zone as I am, so it's 8 o'clock Central for them. And they're probably already in an hour or two into their first fire ceremony. And many folks in Guatemala will be conducting 2 fire ceremonies during this auspicious period known as the Wayeb. And the Wayeb is a period of time at the end of the solar year calendar, the Haab calendar, H-A-A-B. And this calendar interlinks with the Mayan sacred calendar as well as the epic or the era-based long count calendar. So all these cycles of time are intermingling. And the solar year for the Maya, 365 days, the last 5 days is the transition period from one year to the next. It's a very sacred time. It's a time where the year bearers, which are deities or nawals in the Mayan language, we call them nawals, that are responsible for carrying the sun on its transit throughout the day. And each year bearer takes a year's turn doing that, and then they switch off to another year bearer for that responsibility for the next 365 days. So here in this period of Wayeb, it's also known in some clans as the period of Mam, M-A-M. But this is a time where the energies are really directed towards introspection. It's like a much grander, much more sacred version of what we Occidental people do with our New Year's resolutions. Only we take time, and that's what we're doing in this 5-day period here, to review all of our actions, our behaviors, the events, our feelings, our growth over the past year. And then that's what we did on the first day, on Sunday. Yesterday, we took a look at that information and compared it and synchronized it with our Mayan cross, our personal Mayan cross, which can be found online at MayanCross.com. And we spoke a lot yesterday about the obstacles that we may be perceiving are in the way of us finding our way towards being our best, our highest expression of these energies, our highest expression of soul. And so that was the assignment, if you will, for the last 24 hours to really think about this information. And now today we're going to take another step in this process, this 5-day process. And I'll introduce that in a moment, but first let's set the sacred space by calling in the way the Maya do. Let's invoke the energies of the first 4 grandparents, beginning in the east, where the color is red. The element is fire, the element is the sun. And we give thanks, and we're so welcoming you, this energy, to join us here today for guidance and protection and insight. And from the east, we'll call in the energy of the west, the energy of the underworld, where the sun sets every day. And the color there is purple or blue or black. And this is what we've been working with, and we appreciate your guidance for any insights you can give us into our own underworld. The shadow side of our existence is that area that needs deep exploration in order to find our way to our best expression. So thank you for being with us. And the energy of the north, where the color is white, the element is air, where the winds blow, where the breath breathes. Thank you for providing us that life and vitality. And then calling from the north to the south, where the color is yellow, the element is water. Another essential ingredient for our ability to live and thrive. So let's just take a moment to feel their presence. You can feel the expansion of our own beings just by acknowledging and feeling the gifts that they bring to us every day. And the energy today on the Mayan calendar, the Mayan sacred calendar, is 12 sun. That's how it's commonly known. The energy of 12 is the energy of integration, completion, fruition, and understanding. And that energy is going to be with us all day as we work with our personal healing practice. And it kind of fuels that intention for us, doesn't it? That we've done a lot of introspection already. We've been identifying those areas that are blocked, the emotions that are exhibited because of those blockages. And this energy of 12, it's known as Kablahu in the Mayan language. May we ask that you bring that assistance to us today through our personal healing practice. And the energy of the sun, the Mayan word for this is, the Quiche Mayan word for this is Ahpu. And Ahpu is the hunter. So this is the archetype of the sacred warrior. And even though it has a masculine kind of feel to it, there's a divine feminine aspect to this as well, because no matter what, if we're on a spiritual path, we know that we're going to have obstacles. And this is the energy, this is the essence that brings forth our perseverance, our valor, our integrity, our willingness to overcome, our willingness to find a way to manifest what we know to be the fullest expression of what we're meant to be. So, thank you, Ahau, for the Nawal Ahpu. Thank you, Ahau, for the Nawal Kablahu, or 12. And these energies combined will continue to fuel our process here, as well as all the other assistance we have from the ancestors, from the grandparents, from the folks in Guatemala that have our intentions, as well as those of everybody in the world in mind. And I'd like to add to that right now. What happens oftentimes in a Mayan fire ceremony is after they've invoked all of these elements, they will also invoke the energy and the ancestors from the sacred places from all over the world. So for you on the chat, if you could just make an entry into the chat about that just states the sacred places around where you are in the world. Maybe it's a cave, maybe it's a beachhead, maybe it's a mountaintop. Just, if you could, enter that in. And then for those of you on the voice lines, I will unmute you, and if you could just speak, mention your sacred place, your altar. Because for the Maya, they don't go to church. The world, the planet, the Mother Earth is the church. And all of their sacred and divine places are found in nature, not in man-made structures. So I'll unmute the voice group. And we have Glastonbury Tour for Maria in the UK. Guest date says in the country. Yeah, in the UK. And what was the place in the UK? I didn't hear that. Sedona, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, where the Great Lakes meet. I hope I can pronounce this correctly. Lalibela, Ethiopia. I'm not near there, but I think of it often, and it is unbelievable. Guest 21 says, all natural spaces. Elizabeth Hart says, the sacred birthing cave of Sedona's Red Rocks, where actually she and I have shared ceremony there. Kedsonbury, Kit Hill, Cornwall, UK. From Glorious, 01, all the beaches in California. Lake Titicaca. And here's a good question. Did you mean known as sacred or just simple sacred places to us? And to the Maya, it doesn't necessarily have to be known by everybody in the world that it's sacred. All it has to be known is to the individual as a place where the energies are strong and you can feel the sacred very strongly. We have Mount Segur, was used as a Cathar stronghold in the south of France. The Great Ocean Road in Lorne, Australia. All the forests amid the urban landscape and every garden. Gasternau, Switzerland. My Heart, Mount Shasta, California. Burgoyne Bay, Salt Spring Island.
My Heart also.
Thank you. Cathedral Rock, Sedona. Avebury's Moon Circle in Wiltshire. I'm unmuting the voice group again. Arizona, Yaxha, which is in Guatemala near Tikal. Wicklow Mountains in Ireland. Florida. Lourdes near Carcassonne, south of France.
Red Rocks, Colorado.
Red Rocks in Colorado.
The mountains and the forests in Woodstock, New York.
Thank you.
Lake Michigan.
Lake Michigan, our dear Earth, the Sonoran Desert. I'd like to add, coming from the Midwest, there are thousands of sacred mounds that have been created hundreds of years ago by the indigenous people who lived here before everybody else showed up. And they're in Illinois, they're in Missouri, Iowa, all up and down the Mississippi River, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. And we've done ceremony in these places, and the energy is just phenomenal. We have Joshua Tree. So thank you all for sharing that, and let's just take a moment now together to feel connections with all these places, all these people, all these forces. Feel them in your body. Beautiful. Okay, let's just take a moment to review what happened over the last 24 hours since we were looking at our shadow. And I'd like to open the lines for discussion about what people have noticed about themselves or about the collective or about this whole process that we're going through, just to kind of check in. And if you'd like to chat in or speak something, just unmute yourself by pressing *6. So yesterday we were to look at our cross and look at our events that happened over the past year and identify something, not a whole list, but just something that we can really focus on and work with. during this healing process. Guest 21, Catherine says, it's more thorough throughout my family than I previously realized. So the demon is pretty pervasive, if that's an appropriate adjective to use. And that's what happens when we start to look at this stuff. We start to see that it might start out as just a little thing, and then it kind of gets bigger, more pervasive. Would anyone else like to contribute? If you'd like to unmute yourself to speak to what's been happening for you over the last day or so. Guest 22 says they're noticing arrogance and judgment, which I personally can relate to because of this whole notion of, at least the way I'm looking at this, the way it's coming to me, is this whole notion of perfectionism. Letting that go and receiving my humility. Yes. Yes. Receiving that deeply. Okay, I'm going to unmute everyone else so that some people can get through. If you're not speaking, you can press *6.
Star 6 is a toggle, so you could mute and unmute yourself once Barbara frees the line. If you're not speaking, just press *6. Okay.
All right. This is Mary. Can you hear me?
Yes, Mary.
Good morning. So I had something very directly that happened to me yesterday. I was walking outside, honoring our sacred maple trees, and wanting to check the sap that I boil down. And as I was walking, I slid on some mud and I twisted my ankle. And I'm about to go into the hospital to have it checked because I've been in pain, and I don't know what's gone on. I don't have these kind of things happen to me that much. And I also, I practice feng shui, and we were talking about the ancestors, and the ancestors represent the feet. So,
yeah.
And so I was forced to sort of just really not do anything and just reflect.
Yeah, universe's way of telling you that you need to. It's getting your attention, right?
It's getting my attention, yeah.
So I'm sorry that it happened this way, but this is how it is sometimes, because it's really going to get your attention these days, right?
Yes.
And this is root chakra, right?
Right.
And this is what a lot of people would say. In our society, we're not very rooted. We're all up in the upper chakras, but not rooted. And this is where the clearing really has to happen.
Yeah, and I'm a pretty rooted person generally. I'm really rooted in my place, and I'm also taking off to go on a flight, for a program in Seattle. Then I'm hoping my foot's going to be okay in the next few days.
Mm-hmm.
So I am kind of uprooting myself from here. Briefly.
Wow. So were you able to use that time then?
Use the time?
Yeah. And what came to you during that?
Well, what came to me was that I don't like to be helpless, and I like to take care of myself. And one of my things is that I'm a Noj. I'm 12 understanding Earth in my tradition, or the way I call it, or which is the same as knowledge or Noj. And one of the things, mm-hmm. And one of the things that I've noticed, what I saw in the conception thing was, and one of the things that says that I can get too self-sufficient. Not the concussion. So I'm really dealing with people having to wait on me hand and foot and being taken care of. And I'm so used to, like, you know, I can handle it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's seeing yourself through a different lens, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Well, were you able to look at the wheel with the 8 segments of your life and draw any correlations there between what's happening and what you may need to, you know, focus on, and how that may balance your life more going forward?
Well, I think it has. I don't have the thing in front of me right now. Sorry, but it was. I think it might be with because there's a lot around community and family, and you know, it just what comes to me, like in general, is just allowing myself to be contributed to, and not and like really allowing community to come forth because they want to contribute, and
yes.
And that's what I think is coming forth, and it's also dealing with and you know, my personal self-health, my own care, and it's all connected to my spiritual evolution.
Right.
That it's all connected. So yeah.
So it's like this is part of your practice in receiving.
Yes.
As opposed to doing and giving.
Yeah, and I'm not always a kind of a doing person that much. Everything today, this past month, I've had stuff on the right side of my body. So it's my right foot, and then I fell on the mud on my butt. And earlier, a few weeks ago, I fell flat forward on dry ice and hurt my shoulder on my right side. So it's all like my right side saying it's getting hurt. And so that's what I'm doing. That I just got to let that part rest and just allow my left side, my feminine side, to receive.
Yes, yes. Well, it sounds like you're on your way to doing that, whether you chose to learn it this way or not. Oh dear. Well, our hearts are with you. We're supporting you here. Thanks for sharing that. That's big.
Thank you. Thank you.
You know, just to go forward and let us know that this is how it works sometimes, and it takes your breath, and it has you step back in a way that takes a lot of courage, it takes a lot of bravery to be on this path. There's no question.
Thank you.
Would anybody else like to comment with this scenario?
Yes, I would.
Please.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Risa, and I'm just joining. And yesterday I went out to take pictures of my yurt, and I took many pictures and went for a walk. And when I came home and went to download the pictures, they weren't there. And I had to go out and do it again. And last night, this is all connected. Last night, I made a phone call to a woman who had become a friend and a client a while back last year. And we were very close. And then we'd had this misunderstanding. It's like we stubbed our toes on each other. And we weren't in contact.
Excuse me a minute. There's some background noise that's kind of disturbing the communication. So anybody other than Risa who's not talking and who's on the phone line, can you please press *6 so we can hear Risa more clearly? Thank you. Okay, so you stubbed your toes together, and thank you.
We stubbed our toes together, and we really went out of communication entirely. And for a long time, probably close to a year. And it was sad for me, and I learned last night it was sad for her. But last night I called her, and we had this wonderful heart meeting and sharing and tears, and opening. And I found a way that I could contribute to her and make amends.
Uh-huh.
And as I'm thinking, as I was listening to Mary, what I realized was that the opportunity, I don't know, somebody's still playing on their phone there. The opportunity.
Yeah, there is still some background noise, so if you're not speaking, please press *6.
Barbara?
Yes. Yes.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
The guest that's speaking now, where are you located? Are you logged in?
I am. I'm on the phone, actually.
Okay, and what is your name?
Risa.
Risa, is that what shows on the screen?
I don't know.
Risa?
No.
Okay,
we don't have them.
Barbara, you could just, even though everyone, you can go, if you have an idea where Risa is, you can go start muting the others around that and find the person that's making the background noise. They're probably not by the phone, or they don't realize it. So you can just go start muting around. Where are you calling from, Risa?
Alberta, Canada.
Yeah, so just go start muting people that are not Alberta, and you'll find it. I think you just got it.
I think it's gone.
Okay.
So what I realized listening to Mary's story was, and it was something I recognized last night, you know, I'm a very sensitive person and a healer, and I feel things very deeply and pick up on things pretty quickly. And I've had in the past, more than in the present, this tendency to let go of people, to judge them too quickly.
Mm.
And this last year and some, I've really been focusing on letting that judgment go and just finding greater compassion with everyone and everything, as much as I'm able to. And last night was another example of that, another opportunity, because I realized how hard I have been on myself for so many years of my life, and how hard I've been on others. And I grew up with that in my family from my father. And it's been my greatest, my greatest wound has come from the masculine in that way. And to be really working to let that go, and see that it takes a second look, it takes another look, another revisiting, and that's what happened when I had to go out and take those pictures again. To look again, and I even had to take a different camera with me to take the pictures of my sacred space in which I have my gatherings and where I do my work with my clients.
Mm-hmm.
To look at it again in a different way, from a different angle. The sun had moved around, and I had to see it differently. And to then intuitively pick up the phone and call this woman who I love and care about, and who has been suffering too in her path, and to meld again in friendship and in a heartfelt way, in a deep way, and something that she said to me also was added to my awareness and another way of looking at judgment. And it was such a wonderful sharing. It just lifted us both out of, what felt like a darker place, even on a very sunny day.
Mm-hmm. Well, it takes a lot to pick up the phone, right?
Yeah, well, it does, but I've wanted to do it for so long, and I opened it up in a Facebook message because she sent me a birthday greeting recently, and so that took courage on her part as well. And I asked, could we have a conversation? Never got a response, but I just did it anyway because it felt like I needed to do it. It just came out of nowhere, really. It wasn't like I've been sitting and mulling it over. It just felt this was the thing to do next.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
well, I think there are several people on the call here that are relating to your description of the quote demon. You know, that behavior that was passed on through the family of being a critic, being harsh in your judgments, quick in your judgments, and the fallout of that. You know, with friendships, and you know, you may find it show up in career and family and social life and in a lot of different areas.
yes. I can look back.
It sounds like you became very clear about that issue, that it sounds like you became clear enough to own it, to say, this is what I need to do.
Yes.
And even though you know where it came from and you can see it, from an ancestral piece as well, you get to a point where it's just you and you've got to do something.
Yes, and it truly is a pattern I can identify over the years in myself and have done and worked on. And this is the first time I could say where, without any more judgment on myself, I could actually, it was effortless, it was graceful. And it was from almost a state of grace, if you will, where there was just no edges anymore, just moved into that space. And there we were on my holodeck, working it out. I call it my holodeck because that's my personal drama. It's where we play our personal drama out on our own holodeck. And that was one of the ways I've played out mine. And with age, having had a birthday recently, I've recognized that, it does give you wisdom if you ask for it. If you are intentional about it, you can have wisdom anytime. You don't have to wait till you're old. You can have it anytime because you really, truly want it. That will bring light into the dark.
Well, can I ask about internally? Did you get to a point where you forgave yourself?
Yes.
For this behavior and how it came to you? And once you did that, would you say that was a turning point? Or how was that in terms of your whole process?
Well, one of the things that I put down in my intentions recently for myself has been forgiveness. I've been writing about it. I've been talking about it with others and practicing it with myself. And in doing that, I realize that forgiveness is almost like the last frontier, if you know what I mean. The place where you go right to your edge.
Go to your edge.
Yes. And it's where, in that place of forgiveness, a whole lot of other things that were sticking onto you kind of fall away. That's how I felt. I felt like once I acknowledged that, just began to acknowledge it, a lot of things fell away into separate pieces that I could see and look at, instead of all being clumped all together as a big chunk and being critical of it or feeling bad for it all. I could take each one and pick each one up and do something with it, penetrate it with my consciousness, my intention, and my actions, till I came out the other side of it, as you say, feeling the turn of the corner. That's what I've been doing.
Okay, so if I can kind of summarize that, using awareness, you start to notice all these different areas and pieces where this particular pattern had been negatively affected.
Yes.
So that's a process. It takes time. You look at it, but you always hold it in awareness.
Yes.
And the more you look at it, the more you're going to become aware of the extensity of it.
Yes.
And you will get to a point where just by being aware, that piece will fall away. So that the darkness, the sludginess of that energy starts to loosen up. It starts to lose its grip as a pattern, as an ingrained kind of, in your DNA sort of pattern.
Totally. And when you say DNA, that's exactly it, because DNA is our intention. In our intention, the awareness, because I had the intention, my awareness is on it. And my intention with my awareness brings the focus of my love, of my caring for self enough, and for others enough that it melts the hard, icy, sharp edginess of that critical eye. Critical eye for self and critical eye on others.
So using that as a process, you get to the point where it becomes easier to own it and to forgive yourself.
Yes.
And from that point, it shifts into love of that part of yourself, which enables you, it gives you strength, I would say,
yes,
to reach out to those that you need to forgive or you need to ask forgiveness from. Works both ways, right?
Yes, it does.
So today's focus is on that ultimate acceptance of who we truly are. Those behaviors, those patterns that somebody in the chat mentioned Eckhart Tolle, and I pulled a quote from his just in terms of the pain body. He talks about all of these demons and the underbelly and the underworld. His term for it is the pain body. And he says that it's probably encoded within every human's DNA, yet it hasn't been discovered, scientifically as that yet. But as, spiritual people doing personal work, we can feel it. I mean, it's in the body. And we can begin to work with it there and go through what Lisa and Mary have just talked about. It doesn't happen overnight, but it's a gradual shifting. But until we get to the point of not just accepting it, but reaching out to it with love and compassion, it's at that point that it's not pain anymore. It's at that point where it goes to the light. It goes from that mired up, congested, mucky energy into the light. Because it's getting much easier to release this stuff. Lucky guest for saying, I guess we've all had plenty of practice over the years. Anyone else like to add to this? We've only got a few more minutes left. And what I'd like to encourage everyone to do here in the next day is to, again, focus in on what it is that needs releasing. And you may see where we're kind of headed with this in terms of intention setting for the upcoming year. And this is, as the teaching from Carlos Barrios says, it's really less about making a judgment about ourselves, but just being honest and accountable to ourselves. And accepting who we are. Yes.
Joseph?
Uh-huh.
Yes. Michelle 1 on the chat has offered something really interesting. I think
okay.
Good to consider. I think we now, as a group, have a chance to lose and decode the personal pain body and take it away from humanity. And what she's touching on there, I don't know, Michelle, if you can speak, if you're also called in, but I think the work that I've been involved in through Common Passion collectively is that the collective and the individual aren't separate things. And what we do within ourselves is a help for humanity. I think it's really a good context to be doing this work in.
Beautiful.
As I mentioned yesterday, our shadows tend to overlap, and often it's hard to distinguish what is our stuff to work on and what is someone else's. But in the end, if it's in our field, if we're experiencing it at any level, it's up for a reason. And I think it's really good that we keep that awareness high as we work, as we do this work, this deep inner shadow work. And I think it comes out in other ways for me personally, if I might throw something in. As I was looking at my life in this circular matrix that you'd offered through the Wayeb, what I noticed is that one area dominated all the rest, that I had so much attention and energy in one area of the 8. Not that I was unaware that this imbalance was occurring, it's just that demanded so much attention that it pushed the others out of balance. And I think that was in large part due to these, vast overlapping shadows that when you get involved in community work, that necessarily affects your community and healing work and global work. And I think many of the people on the call are in a similar situation. We don't live in a vacuum. We don't live on an island. And I think that collective influence of each of us is becoming more and more evident, even though it was always there, just through social networking, through being able to connect around a virtual fire like this. I believe it makes it more evident, more obvious that we're dealing with things collectively, even if we think we're just dealing with things individually. And I think that's what Michelle was offering too.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's up to the individual to begin that releasing process. And P. Greets mentions on the chat, my shadow thought it was the boss. And being able to meet it like we do here is huge. I have other intentions for this boss of a shadow. It may not know it yet, but it has another job to do, and that is recycle. And that's really, coming face to face with these aspects of yourselves and seeing, the extent of them, where they come from, that's all fine, well, and good. It's all part of the healing. But again, at the end of the day, it's up to us to make that choice. And luckily, in these circles and and the collective, actually, of like heart and minded folks can help us see and help encourage the letting go of that. So that we can find greater compassion. So Joseph, how would you like to step us through the next few minutes of just kind of some inner guided work?
I'd like to suggest that I'm happy to lead it off, but if you can start around the notion here, I think today is around it. We begin the acceptance process of. I just got an echo. Oh, there it goes. Of the work that we've been doing, and if you want to start it off, I can take this moment of silence and then use that as my cue to go further into it.
Beautiful.
And guest 4 is saying, yes, let's go party. This is the party part. This is the fun part, the relief. Yes. Okay.
Well, the party's on the inside.
Yeah.
The party's within.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go there. Let's just take a moment again to reconnect. Let go of all the discussion, let go of the chat. Just kind of like an etch-a-sketch. Erase the activity in the mind and feel a big breath in. Connect you to every tissue, to every organ, to every cell, all the fluids, to all the electricity, all the energy within this physical body, this earth suit. Feeling your own vibrancy. And feeling yourself as a vibratory root between the feet all the way down, connected to the core of the earth. So feeling that earth energy come up through the feet and the legs, the spine, connecting to the heavens. So just for a couple of breaths, feel the energy come up through the feet to the crown and beyond, and then on the exhale, bring that light and bright energy from the heavens back down in through the crown, through the heart, through the spine, the legs and the feet to the earth. And with all this vibration, with all this light, take a moment to reflect upon whatever area of dissonance you've been identifying over the last couple of days. And let's surround that area with this awareness, with the light, with the unseen but deeply felt forces from the earth and the heavens, all the elements. And just envelop. With your heart, with your love, like a nectar, feeding this area. Feeding this pain. The love and appreciation and acceptance that your higher self is capable of. And let's be in this for 1 minute more. And then Joseph, feel free to pick up on that.
I think Joseph is muted.
In this mode, in this state we're enjoying now, recognizing the connection of each of us just by our awareness making it so. Take a breath into that connection. Around Mother Earth, see lines of connection from our hearts. And the awareness of challenges, the shadow, hopes, desires, fears. Acceptance is very present. It's this moment right now. Doesn't mean things aren't going to change or they need to stay this way. Just right this moment. Just like you're accepting the weather outside or your thumb or how you accept a child. And we allow that kind of unconditional acceptance right this moment for the way things are. Right now. Perfectly imperfect. Perhaps even smile to it. Even accepting our reactions to the way things are. Even accepting our desire for change. Accepting our desire for balance. Locate some area of your life that you're in acceptance about. But move that sense, that feeling, make it visceral inside your body. Accepting those shadow areas that are showing up. Notice where in your body that sense of relief and acceptance comes from. Is it in the belly, the hips, behind the eyes? Wherever that is, breathe into it. Thank it. So let's go forth today with that smile of acceptance, appreciation, gratitude. We're feeling our hearts right now for this process, for the shadow, for each of us sharing the sacred circle. For the technology that's allowing this sharing to occur, that's nothing more than the outpicturing of our own indelible connection beyond space-time, beyond the physical, always there, ever present. But smile in that. And as we close the circle for today, even though the line may be noisy, if everyone can unmute themselves, if they've muted themselves by pressing star sticks, and just put an offering in the circle, a smile, a word, a phrase, a laughter, a giggle, loving space, kindness, compassion.
Love, love, love. Love yourself.
Yeah.
Light.
Thank you, everybody. There in the morning, the next day, same time, same place. Tomorrow.
I invite you to post comments out on the Mayan Cross Facebook page. We had a lot of activity out there yesterday, so stay tuned in there and really envelop this experience around yourself all day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Joseph.
Adios to everybody.
You're welcome. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Love, love, love.
Aloha.
Aloha. Okay, I'll end the call now. Love to all.